Alright, I'm doing this video locally here from Maui, Hawaii, and this is just to show that after one season of riding the Naish bolts, the material will disintegrate. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, and then I'm going to cut it out so I can repair it. Alright, so as you can see right here, the material is basically just disintegrating. You can see how it lost its crispiness and it started to get faded. And then after it starts fading and loses its crispiness, you can hear the paper up here kind of snap, but down here it don't. So right here you can see or it's disintegrating and it's not crispy anymore. And that's what happens to the kite. You can see it's all around this edge here, all down the edge here. The whole thing is just about to just disintegrate. But this right here is the dacron. It's really thick. It's heavier, so they only use it on certain parts of the kite. The parts that really have to be strong, like the bladders and the leading edge and the trailing edge, because that's the part, if it falls down, will hit the ground. So you're gonna watch me cut this blue section out here. You can see where the kite's been sewn here, so I'm just going to cut out part of it and then I'll just put that part back in. Alright. Just going to set the camera here while I do this. Alright. Now when you think about this kite being like $1,000 after one season, not being able to use it again, think about going out and buying a whole thing of snowboard equipment and then not being able to use it next year after you just got the right size and bindings and boots. It's the same way with this kite. Once you get the pole, the bar, that the strings are attached to, and the safety system and all that thing, it costs you about like your whole snowboard gear. You know, all the boots and stuff. So that's, I don't know, they should probably bring the prices down before people start griping, but I'm just gonna fix mine because I've built these before. So you can see here I'm starting to cut it out where it's just tearing. You can see it just tearing there. See how it's just ripping there? It's just coming apart. If you'd be flying this thing in high winds, it would just literally just disintegrate on you. You see that? So if you were riding that in heavy winds, it would just disintegrate on you. I think the problem here is that they glued it or welded it to the dacron, and that little spot, the crease, just like you crease a piece of paper and rip it. Well, have you ever held a piece of paper on the edge of a table to use the edge of the table, the hard part, to rip the paper down? I think that's kind of what's happening here. That's a design flaw. But anyway, I'm going to try to fix it here. So stand by. Now, one thing you got to have when you do this is patience. When you cut around this dacron, it has got to be exact because you're using the skin here for your pattern. Now, I'm only finding this happen on mostly the trailing edge, so I'm not going to take out the whole panel. I'm just going to take out a quarter of the panel. And the quarters of the panel are actually sewn. You can see them in the sewing. I've learned that it's better if you get tired to just stop and come back to it. Now I found out that some of the time when you unstitch the material, like when you take all the stitches out of it and you sew it back to that place that you stitched to, it weakens the material there and that'll rip. So I just cut around the stitching and then I just sew over it again because it makes a double overlap there. I'm going to bring the camera over here so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, see here how I'm not taking the stitches out? I'm just cutting here because if you take this out, that material will be weakened because of all those little holes in there. So I'm just cutting under it and I'll sew right above there with extra. I'm going to get a new piece of this and put it extra over there. Now, you got to take your time, do this exact, because I'm telling you, if you don't do it exact, you're going to have wrinkles all over the place. When you go out on the beach with your kite, it's going to be billowing. So you got to use some precision here. Think of this as working with a Dremel tool as opposed to a crayon. You need to have a lot more mind to use a Dremel tool than you do crayons in a coloring book. Because once you do it, it's done. Now I cut this off. So think about what you're doing. Maybe even practice it on something else. But you can see here how I cut it exactly on the line. On the stitches, on the Dacron. So everything's exactly nice, clean edge. So this piece of ripstop is what we're going to make. A new one of those. Getting a little windy for me out here, so I'm going to change positions. Now that I got it tacked up a little bit, you can see how I got it on here, basically. So I'm going to go, now that I got it tacked on a little bit, I'm going to go do these parts in between here. With the sewing machine inside up in my room. So I'll continue the video up there. I want to do a little close-up here. I want to do a little close-up shot here so you can see about the seam allowances I'm talking about. Alright. See these white lines here? Those are the seam allowances. You can see how they just overlap perfectly. And you can see these lines here, how the seams line up. You see right there how my two seams line exactly up in a row? So you want to follow the happy trail and keep it going perfectly. Alright. And then here's the overlay. See how I got it like that. And over here too, same thing. So it allows me room to stitch. And that's all the way around. You can see the white line. So you got it perfectly mapped out. See the white line there too? Yep. So that's what I'll show you. There's our new panel. Sewed all the way in. Well, yeah. We're going to blow it up and take some pictures.